Welcome back. Our lead story this evening, we can tell you that the $22 million Petro-Caribbean funded Petit Soufriere to Rosalie Link Road project is set to be at a standstill. According to reports, workers may have pack up and leave due to a huge rock obstructing the said works. UWP candidate for the Petit Soufriere constituency, Bernard Wilshire, says the start of the road project, which commenced during the general elections, was politically motivated.
Well, I'd warned the people, but maybe they didn't believe me. I lost heavily in Petit Soufriere. And the people all trooped all dutifully and obediently trooped into the polling booth stations to vote for Mr. Skerrit and his candidate. Well, Kesha, Oli se bulldozer actuellement. Oli se bakoua. Oli se truck la. Oli se moun la ka travay le chimea. Pa di moun la, non, Kesha? As soon as the election was finished, Kesha, se moun la point ba yo. Yo point tout ba yo ale fe chimea yo. Ou tan mwen, yo point ba yo ale fe chimea yo. E bo sa yo di? Yo di yo jwen yo go wash. E yo pas fe wash sa, go wash. Konsi yo pati, as if they didn't know the stone was there. Everybody has known that stone is there. So that only proves my point, that they had no intention of doing that road. That just because the election was coming and I had written that letter to warn the people about their hypocrisy and their treachery, just because I'd done that, they quickly gone and got Petro-Caribbean interfering in our election, our political thing in Dominica, got them to announce we're going to give them 22 million pounds. They had no intention of making any road. And as soon, of course, as the people had got their votes, what they do? They pulled off all their stuff and telling the people, well, they have to go back and see about this stone, this big stone there. They meet a big stone, they don't know what to do with it. So they're going to check and see, and when they come up with a solution, they'll come back. Well, everybody knew that stone was there, Kesha. And if they were serious, you understand, they would have made plans already right from the very start to deal with that stone. Because there are ways you can deal with that rock. There's no doubt about it. There are always you can deal. It's an obstacle in the way, yes, but there are ways you can deal with that rock to make a road, to complete that road.
Well, Mr. Wilshire says the completion of the road project would be of great convenience for the residents and the public.
Government promised the people of Petit Soufriere that road, the link road between Petit Soufriere and Rosalie. Actually, it really is a necessary thing for those people there. Because really without it, they're living in a cul-de-sac, a dead end. When you reach there, vas aller plus loin. And that is having quite an impact, an effect upon their chances in life, upon the quality of their community, because they're isolated. And it's also very inconvenient for them, because to get to Roseau, for example, they have to go all the way to Castle Bruce, then take that Castle Road all the way to the Castle Bruce Junction, and then to make the road thing to Roseau. Whereas if that road was open, frankly, it's about a 10-minute drive to Rosalie, the Rosalie Bridge, the bridge of the Rosalie River, and from there they can go to Roseau, go to La Plaine, or wherever they want. The road will also be very convenient for children, because don't forget the secondary school for the area is in Castle Bruce. Now it's exactly the same thing, because you have children coming from La Plaine and those places, and they've got to go all the way up there to the to the Pocassi Junction, and then go all the way down to makes a journey far longer for them. So, and the people have wanted that road for decades. That is why when I became Attorney General, although I wasn't representing Castle Bruce, but in Cabinet, I was the one actually pushing for us, to a government, to do that road. And not only that, but I went far enough to actually get to secure $12 million in those days to complete that road. The government used the money, they didn't do the road.
And that's UWP candidate for the Petit Soufriere constituency, Bernard Wilshire. In more news tonight, Dominica's health sector is expected to receive a major boost from the government of India. Indian High Commissioner to Dominica, Malay Mishra, told a press conference on Wednesday that the country is expected to get assistance in the area of pharmaceuticals and training. Mishra described India's pharmaceutical industry as one of the leaders in generic drugs in the world, with over 11 billion exports on a global basis.
And here I have mentioned that we could also provide some expert as a healthcare professional for giving training to some of your healthcare people here. That could be done, and we could also train some people out in India under our existing ITech program, which is basically a capacity building program. Apart from that, we could also have more of Indian pharmaceuticals come in here. Indian pharma have come a long way, and today India is the leader in the generic drugs in the world. We have now an export of about 11 billion US dollars, and mostly to developed markets, US, Europe, Japan. These are primarily our export markets now, and India is going very strong in having developed a very significant base of production of generic drugs. So that is exported, and we have a lot of tie-ups, we have a lot of production facilities overseas of these drugs, and they are now nearly global. There are about 10 or 12 top of the line companies in India who are doing global business. So our idea was to bring in some of these companies here as part of a delegation, visit sometime later in the year, and see the possibility of getting cheaper drugs. Indian drugs are very cost competitive and highly quality conscious. So we combine both. We give good quality drugs, and we give drugs of global standard, and yet they are extremely cost competitive and extremely affordable, particularly for countries, developing countries, because we would like to see that more of these multinational drugs, which are very expensive to get, we can substitute them with equal quality and yet a fraction of the cost.
He says a delegation is expected to visit Dominica later in the year in that regard.
What you would be paying for those kind of drugs. So we are looking at getting a delegation of a pharma manufacturing companies to come here and see the possibility. Apart from your sourcing of drugs through the OECS way, you could also have possibility of bilaterally importing drugs from India. And we could say there are some Indian companies who are based in this region now. Some of them are in Trinidad itself, where I reside. In Venezuela, in Brazil, in this region, there are some important Indian drug company represented. So we could see that there could be a delegation coming here to see that possibility. Besides, there is also a proposal which we have invited the government to give on supply of health equipments, medical equipments. So that is also, I have taken a positive line on that, and we are inviting a proposal from the government of Dominica, seeking whatever assistance is needed from India in this field.
Indian High Commissioner to Dominica, Malay Mishra. Government's main legal advisor, Anthony Astafan, is calling on the electorate in Salisbury and Marigot to boycott a by-election that could take place in Dominica sometime in July. The seats of Edison James and Hector John were made vacant after they missed the 3 consecutive sittings of Parliament.
The supporters and people who voted for Mr. Edison James and Mr. Sparks John should boycott the election. The United Workers' Party supporters and those who voted for them should boycott the election and send a strong political message. And if there are other candidates, independent candidates or Labour Party candidates or Freedom Party candidates, whoever it is may want to join this by-election, and it will be in the final analysis a matter for the parties to decide. And the candidate, vote for everybody else except them. The time has come for this delusion, this absolute schizophrenic delusion that the United Workers' Party and their supporters are suffering from come to an end. They seem to believe that they were cheated out of this election, and they cannot yet tell us where the 4,000 votes went that they had in 2005. In 2005 election, the United Workers' Party had over 15,000 votes. They have to start looking in the mirror. They've got to start reflecting on the absolutely ridiculous campaign that they ran. They boycott the House. By operation of law, their positions have now been vacated, and they're blaming everybody else. The people of Salisbury and Marigot are going to have to send a message to these men and tell them politics is for men and not with boys with toys.
government's main legal advisor, Anthony Astafan. Meantime, James tells Kyrie News that statements from Anthony Astafan should not be taken seriously at any